Now, like I said, when we first opened this up, this is going to be our dinner party. And our host, being us, the Beat Connection, three members of this esteemed squad, which we call the Super Friends. We're going to go ahead and get it going. Go ahead and loosen your tie, if you will. Go ahead and take those heels off, slide those flip flops on or those flats on so you can go ahead and get jiggy and get saucy on the dance floor. So, what we're going to go into now is I got a couple questions for you two, for my industry insiders, right?
Okay.
So just to kind of get the and jumpstart and you know what I'm saying, get this lawnmower going. You know what I'm saying? So my first question to you two, is the art of sampling dead? In the new age, is the art of sampling dead?
Lex, I'll let you go first because I have thoughts on it.
Okay, so in my opinion, no. Now, maybe on a mainstream level, there might be greater fear, or greater, not fear, but cautiousness, you know, and greater preparation. But I would say no, because the reality is, you know, like when we first started this conversation, Kyrie, you had mentioned the fact that sampling became developed as an art form due to the lack of music education in school.
Yeah, I don't think I said that on camera, so I'm glad you brought that back up.
Yeah, and that for me was a really important point to make, because the reality is not everybody's going to be able to play an instrument. Not everybody may have instant access to musicians. People may not necessarily want to use musicians, or you may want a sound that you hear from a particular record that you just fell in love with, that speaks to your soul. And so I think overall, like the art of sampling, like the art itself, no, I don't think that it's going to die. In fact, I believe that even if it's on a lull right now, there probably will be a resurgence, because I think that overall sampling has done something, sampling particularly in hip hop has done something for so many different types of music that now let's be clear, hip hop is not the only genre of music that's sampled.
Right, of course, but we're primarily hip hop based, and we're going to discuss, you know what I'm saying, again, right, what music overall, but our primary focus is always going to be hip hop.
Absolutely. And hip hop, just to clarify real quick, Kyrie,
no, take your time.
You know, hip hop has definitely done something that I think other genres of music haven't really been able to do. Excuse me. It's the art of recycling and repurposing and breathing new life. It's a rebirth for artists, for their artistry, for their creativity, for music all over the world. And it was the genius and the openness of the artists, the producers themselves, because it was usually the producers who looked into these records and was like, I hear something in this and I want to use this. So I think, like, definitely, just to make my point, no, I think sampling is always going to be here. And I think on a certain level, I think we need sampling. I think we need it as an art form. Like, I don't think you're talking about lineage, as I stated before. It's a lineage, it's a sonic lineage, you know, as you said, Kyrie, the sonic ancestry, you know, and I think that's so important to the legacy of like hip hop moving forward, to all music moving forward. I think sampling will always be here.
Okay.
So let me piggyback on that. We actually agree wholeheartedly. There was a time where sampling had kind of died out. It was around right before the trap era kicked off. The trap era kicked off because that was around the time where sampling was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is worth it.
Right.
So what happened was, sonically, the sound changed. Every few years, the sound changed.
Yeah, right.
Sampling came back around because producers found a way to if you couldn't clear the sample, you might interpolate it so you kind of get the same vibe, but you don't have to go through the hassle of clearing the sample if you can replay it and recapture that same feel.
It's like that fine line.
Yeah. So now sampling is coming back around because now they're finding different ways to clear the sample. They're finding different ways to clear it. They're finding different ways to interpolate it. And then, we talk about hip hop, but there's not too much difference from a sample and a cover. Like, technically there is, but the principle of it, and covers have been around forever.
Right.
You're redoing a song that inspired you, like, oh, let me see if I can cut a version of that, see what I do with it. It's the same thing.
Right.
The issue with this, and this is where my passion for the culture might come out.
Let it flow.
Like Lex said, when you're dealing with a generation of people that are have-nots, not only are you forced to take from the past to get inspiration because you can't play it yourself, once the genre pops off, now you got everybody frowning on it. And they frown on it until they find a way to monetize it. Whew. Once they find a way to monetize it, now it's like, oh,
right.
Now we got to talk about sample clearances because you niggas are making way too much money off of this.
Right.
And I'm not saying niggas in a racial aspect, just generally speaking.
Overall, right, yeah.
Hip hop, the Beastie Boys, no, y'all making too much money off of it. Africa Bambaataa, no, you're making too much money off of that. Come give me what you owe me.
Right.
So, the flip side of that is hip hop took off and you couldn't stop it. So, like you said, we're talking about hip hop. Now it applies to pop music because pop music is so inspired by hip hop now. That pop music is starting to sample.
Right.
You got Justin Bieber trying to remake 90s records, and nothing against Justin Bieber. I'm just making a point.
Right.
Of now hip hop has been around so long where you got Miley Cyrus sampling Cream, which means the people that use a sample to get Cream have to get paid now. Right. Sampling isn't just hip hop based anymore. Hip hop became such a huge part of music in general. Everybody's doing it.
And yeah, I 100% agree. Like you said, it's and again, like we said, because we primarily discuss hip hop. Don't get us wrong. We talk other genres of music, both on and off the camera. I feel like there is a lot of gray area that comes comes with sampling, clearances, covers, and all of that good stuff. So hey Ree, if you ain't got nothing else to add, I got a follow-up question for y'all. Okay, so again, this is not a debate, it's not a competition, but because we in essence have two sides of the coin, me and one, Miss Alexa Gold on the R&B side of things, if you will, and then we have Azrael DiCaprio on the hip hop side of things. I got a question for y'all. Are samples used more in hip hop or R&B?
It depends on, it probably depends on which generation you're talking about. Because nowadays, I would say the samples are more coming from the R&B side.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
No. Hear me out.
Please elaborate.
And I'm not talking about R&B as a whole. I'm talking about mainstream.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like the soul side of it. I'm talking about like if you turn, people don't listen to the radio anymore. So let's just say you're listening to a R&B playlist. I don't know if you guys know about Young Berg changing his name to Hitmaker. Hitmaker is like the new producer for R&B records.
Okay, I'm kind of familiar.
Records are remakes from the stuff that we grew up on, from Jodeci and Silk and all that. So there's a lot of Well, let me say it this way. A better way to say it is the R&B samples tend to be a little bit more obvious today.
Okay.
Got you. Okay.
With hip hop, it's a little different because it's probably equal. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably equal, but it's just how you use the sample. Because nowadays, hip hop producers use the sample, but they slow the sample down. So you might not even be able to catch it.
Right. It's almost like a kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of thing. Sometimes you gotta listen. I was listening to one of them TDE songs. Might have been the Schoolboy Q record, and I'm reading the credits, and I'm reading the sample, and I'm like, where? So now I'm listening to the record, like trying to catch it. I had no idea where it was coming from. Right.
No idea. But
Lexa, what you got? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, Lexa, what you got?
No, I was. So I will be. I'm probably. How can I put it? I don't really listen to like modern R&B like that.
Okay.
I don't, like, so there's enough that I don't know. It doesn't mean that I don't check in every now and again, but like for me, I'm more like, I love neo soul, and with a lot of neo soul or soul music in general, that tends to be, I guess, more soul as opposed to R&B. A lot of it is more like, there's more originality in a sense. It's more live band based. So that's why I was surprised when you said that, because I was like, okay. Because to me, I'm used to sampling being more in hip hop, but I do understand that R&B started to take on elements of hip hop to the point where now sometimes it can almost seem indistinguishable, because it's converged, tied in so tightly.
Oh, no, I'm glad you said that, because that's the issue I have with modern R&B today. Can't tell who wants to be a singer and who wants to rap.
Right. Right. And of course we have, I think R&B is like definitely like has been making a comeback over the last few years. There's definitely some great young R&B artists out there, but definitely there was a time when, let's say, Trey Songz wanted to, or Tyrese.
Yeah, he was on his flow. He was on his flow thing for a minute. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I'm not hating if you have the skills, to do, or if you just want to do it, then fine. But it's just like, that's what started happening, and it was just this sort of convergence of R&B taking on hip hop elements. And of course, it happened before, in a sense, and I would say aesthetically, like you had Jodeci, and a lot of like young groups like that in the 90s that kind of like took on hip hop elements, but they still had these really soulful, almost gospel tinged voices, and R&B in a sense still was like R&B, but then it started really becoming deep. Like, I mean, you have Chris Brown, and he almost like, he's like a rapper now, to me, so go ahead.
I was just going ahead. I remember when Chris Brown tried to out-rap Busta Rhymes on the song with Lil Wayne. I was like, all right, so I can't put this on for mood music. Thanks.
Because it's so crazy. It's like, I get it. Like, if you're an artist, you're going to want to flow between like doing different things, but at the same time, I think if we're talking about the genres overall, definitely R&B just seemed to take on so much of hip hop, where it was like, yo, like, what's going on here? So when we talk about sampling, I personally think that hip hop definitely uses sampling a lot more, and R&B or soul music takes on more of the cover aspect. Like, you'll find a lot more covers found in R&B and soul music. But also too, as you were saying, like now, like you have like pop R&B artists like that are going back to, the 90s. Yes,
the 90s had some good music.
It's just like, apparently this is old music to y'all. This is like classic soul.
Yeah, true. But what's funny too And the reason why I asked that question, because I was having a discussion with a young lady earlier, and we were discussing it, and she asked me the question, and my answer to that was, not resoundingly, but I said hip hop, and she said, "Well, why do you think?" And I said, "I feel like because hip hop, there is more flexibility in it. It's more range in as far as changing up the cadences, the rhythm, the flow, and all that. And not to say that you can't do it with R&B, but R&B is for the most part is usually like it's usually for the most part, and it may sound a little silly, but for the most part, it's strictly a vocalization of the song or whatever. Whereas though hip hop, your tempo can be this or your tempo can be that. Your tempo can be this. You can kind of like go the high speed twister spitter kind of flow, or you can go the what was the cat from that mess with Master P and all of them. That was kind of like he had like that off rhythm.
I'm not gonna say Silk the Shocker.
Silk the Shocker. Yeah, okay. Silk the Shocker. Yeah,
all
he kind of had that off rhythm kind of flow that worked for him, but there's so many different styles of rapping and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I said hip hop more so because you can change up the rhythm. It's a lot more. Hip hop is a lot more. It's ambidextrous. And you can go in either direction with it. But I see, Ree, you got something that you want to add to it. So go ahead.
No. Carry on.
You know, I was actually going to say real quick that I think I agree with you, but I would also say, going back to like the musicality, once the music started being music classes or music education started being pulled out of schools, you found like a lot of young people, I would say not necessarily attracted to playing instruments, because we gotta think about, like, with soul music, R&B, a lot of it is instrumentation, like it's live instrumentation. It's based off of live instrumentation. Hip hop isn't necessarily, it's more like machine based, which is great. It does, to me, it's another instrument, but it's more machine based. So it's a different instrument from like playing the guitar, playing the drums, playing bass, etc. You know, I think that's why the roots stand out so much, because aside from them, you're not going to find
Philly.
You know, you're not going to find too many groups that utilize live instrumentation in hip hop. You're just not going to find it, because I think the culture itself relied and was born out of the repurposing of, you know, not only the music itself, like, you know, music that was already created, but also using the instruments that were around them. Oh, I can't buy, I can't get a guitar, you know, it'll take too long to possibly play a guitar or learn the drums, but I can pick up this sampler, I can pick up this MPC, you know, I can pick up this DJ equipment, you know, or maybe, and now, you know, I can pick up a computer. So I think based off of like the times and what was actually available, I think it was the instrumentation that allowed hip hop, you know, creators to be able to make it easy for sampling to be involved in hip hop. It's not to say that, you know, live instrumentation and soul music can't do the same. Obviously it can, but I think it lends itself to being more original in a sense of like, oh, I can play a guitar, let me just like noodle on the guitar, as opposed to like, you know, doing, you know, numerous covers of somebody else's music. You know, I'm going to play my own guitar riff, I'm going to play my own bass lines, I'm going to play the drums in my particular way. So just to kind of like, I don't know, that was just what came to mind for me, you know.
No, that makes sense.
And with that, you touched on it. You play what you're exposed to. You know what I mean? Gravitate to what you're exposed to. You know, and and a lot of that, I don't want to get too deep. A lot of that comes from family upbringing, which your family exposes you to. If your family doesn't expose you to certain things, you don't even know to look for it. I'm glad that you brought up the roots, because I found a little fun fact that I want to share, and I see that, so I'll keep this abbreviated. But if you're familiar with Fela Kuti, the fun fact that I found was Questlove didn't know about Fela Kuti's music until he met Santa Gold.
Oh, that's my girl.
Around the time that Santa Gold introduced him to Fela Kuti was when the Roots sampled Fela Kuti for what is the name of that record? I Will Not Apologize. It was on the Rising Down album.
Okay.
I forget the name of the Fela Kuti record. It's one of those really long, hyperbolic, still
right.
One of those. I forget the name of it. I'll
Spodiote Dopalicious Angel
yeah,
kind of track.
But yeah, I just thought that was a little fun fact about like just being exposed to certain things that I'm trying to see if I can pull up my notes real quick. Because I know I wrote it down. Hold on. It was called I'm not gonna do it. Grammaticology, sensationalism, something like that.
Hey, don't worry about it. We'll put it down in the descriptions below.
Yeah, it's grammar something or other. But yeah, that was the name of the Fela Kuti record. So I was saying all that to say, like, look how long it took for him to be exposed to one of the greater artists.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, kids in the projects, they ain't thinking about no guitar. Because that's what you have to think about. You have to think about where hip hop was originated.
Right, exactly.
In the projects, in the blocks.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't no instrument stores in Washington Heights.
It was like all turntables and
Like hip hop comes from two turntables and a mic.
Right.
Like that, and that's what it is. That's the foundation. Whereas R&B, if you want to stand out in R&B, you have to have range. Like your voice has to be able to project.
Right.
So it's just different instruments, because in R&B, your voice is your instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the case with rap too. But with R&B, it's like if your voice doesn't carry, you're not gonna catch people. So, you know, it's all perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to shortchange the R&B artists that, you know, kind of blur the lines between R&B and rap.
Because at the end of the day, it's all an art.
Yeah, because you figure the artists that are doing that nowadays are probably in their 20s and 30s. And 20 years ago was 2000. Hip hop was already around for 20 years. So now you like, yeah, I got a voice, but I also want to rap. Like, so
right.
Artists are doing both.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fluid.
Okay. Well, again, like we said, you know, not a debate, just friendly conversation and questions, you know what I'm saying? And again, I like to think, and I think it's fair to say that sampling has been used equally on both sides. You just, depending on where your listening ear is directed to, right. you may hear it on more side than you would another side, and vice versa. Yeah. But again, sampling, it's I think it's safe to say with some of the producers out there, it's alive and well. So with all of that being said, signing off, this is the Can't Do Kids, Shizzy Shizz. To my left, your right, we have singer-songwriter producer
Alexa Gold.
And down low, we have Grammy Award winning, you know what I'm saying, in my head, and soon to come, we have the artist known as
Azrael DiCaprio. You can call me Carito.
Oh, there we go. We are the Beat Connection, the Super Friends of Sampling.
All right.
Let's get it. Stay tuned.
All right. Peace, y'all.